You are being manipulated by a ghost. It doesn't live in your walls, it lives in your pockets, and it decides exactly who you are allowed to become. We like to think we have free will. We choose our clothes, our partners, our political stances, and our career paths. But there is a massive, multi-billion-dollar industry that has spent the last 70 years perfecting the art of turning human behavior into a predictable mechanical output. This is the industry of behavioral engineering, and it is the secret architect of your entire life. To understand how this started, we have to travel back to 1954. A man named B.F. Skinner, a psychologist from Harvard, published a book called Walden 2. He didn't just want to study human behavior, he wanted to control it. He believed that if you provided the right stimuli and the right reinforcements, you could strip away the chaos of human choice and replace it with a controlled, predictable system. At the time, people thought he was a mad scientist. Today, we call his ideas user experience design. Think about the last time you checked your phone. Did you pick it up because you needed to talk to someone, or did you pick it up because a red dot flashed at you, signaling a notification? That red dot isn't an accident. It is a digital Skinner box. It is a variable reward system. You don't know what's waiting behind the notification, so your brain releases a hit of dopamine just for checking. It's the same biological mechanism that makes a gambler pull a slot machine handle. The industry responsible for this is called the persuasion architecture industry. It isn't run by one company. It is an ecosystem of data brokers, ad tech platforms, and predictive modeling firms. Its crown jewel is the data broker. Companies like Axiom, Epsilon, and CoreLogic. These companies don't sell products, they sell you. Each of these companies holds, on average, 1,500 data points on every single American adult. They know your credit score, they know your medical history, they know the exact route you drive to work every morning. They know the age of your children, your political leanings, and the specific brands of cereal you prefer. They don't just know what you did, they use that data to calculate what you will do next. This isn't just about selling you soap, it is about predictive behavior. In 2012, a Target data analyst famously predicted a teenage girl was pregnant before her own father knew. How? By tracking the purchase history of prenatal vitamins, unscented lotions, and cotton balls, the company's model assigned her a pregnancy prediction score. They knew her biological clock better than her own family did. This is the secret industry that controls your life. It is the invisible hand of the 21st century. When you go online, you aren't the consumer. You are the product. You are being farmed for data. That data is processed through algorithms that categorize you into microsegments. If you are a young male in a mid-sized city who enjoys fitness and struggles with sleep, you aren't just a person. You are a set of variables. You are assigned a risk profile for insurance companies and a susceptibility profile for political campaigns. In the mid-2010s, this data was weaponized by firms like Cambridge Analytica. They didn't care about the truth, they cared about the triggers. They realized that if they could isolate people based on their deepest anxieties, they could feed them content specifically designed to confirm their worst fears. They didn't need to win an argument, they only needed to make you feel like your neighbor was a threat. The industry works because of a psychological phenomenon called the choice architecture effect. In 2008, Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein popularized the idea of the nudge. They argued that since people are irrational, we should nudge them toward better decisions. But who decides what is better? And what happens when the nudge is used for profit instead of public health? When a streaming service suggests a movie you might like, that is a nudge. When a grocery store places the most expensive items at eye level, that is a nudge. When your social media feed serves you a post that makes you angry enough to comment, that is a nudge. They have turned your autonomy into an obstacle they must bypass. The industry is now moving into a new, terrifying phase: affective computing. This is the science of teaching machines to recognize and respond to human emotions. Your camera, your microphone, and your heart rate monitors in your watch are no longer just tools, they are sensors. They are measuring your physiological response to advertisements. If your heart rate spikes when you see a specific image, the machine logs that data. It refines the model. The next time, the image will be more targeted, more aggressive, more addictive. It is a closed loop system. You provide the data, they refine the model, and the model dictates your future experiences. Look at the education system. Look at how schools are increasingly moving toward gamified learning platforms. These platforms use the same design principles as casinos. They focus on engagement metrics, not the retention of knowledge. They are training the next generation to respond to the stimuli of the screen rather than the depth of a book. They are creating a workforce that is easily steered and highly responsive to digital rewards. We are seeing the consequences in our mental health statistics. Between 2010 and 2020, the rate of clinical depression among American adolescents jumped by over 60%. Researchers correlate this directly with the rise of the smartphone and the algorithmic feed. We are living through an epidemic of distraction. We have lost the ability to sit in a room alone with our thoughts because our brains have been rewired to crave the external validation of the notification bell. The industry calls this engagement. We should call it enslavement. The most dangerous part of this industry is its invisibility. You cannot fight a ghost you don't believe exists. You think you are browsing the internet. You think you are choosing to buy that product. You think you are forming your own political opinions, but you are walking along a path that has been cleared, paved, and illuminated by an industry designed to keep you on a predetermined track. Consider the echo chamber. We are told it's an accident of our preferences. We are told we simply like to be around people who agree with us. That is a lie. The echo chamber is a product feature. It is a profit maximizing tool. By isolating you within a loop of content that reinforces your current identity, the algorithm ensures you stay on the platform longer. Anger, fear, and validation are the strongest drivers of digital retention. The industry isn't trying to inform you, it is trying to keep you angry enough to stay logged in. The people behind this, the engineers in Silicon Valley, the data brokers in suburban office parks, the psychological consultants for the ad agencies, they aren't all evil. Most of them are just doing their jobs. They are measured by KPIs. They are chasing stock options. They are trapped in a system that demands infinite growth and infinite engagement. They are the architects of the prison, but they are also its first inmates. If you want to reclaim your life, you have to break the loop. You have to recognize that the prompt on your screen is not an invitation, it is a lure. You have to understand that your attention is the most valuable resource on the planet, and there is an entire industry dedicated to stealing it from you. The average person spends nearly 7 hours a day connected to the internet. That is almost half of your waking life. If you are being managed for 7 hours a day, are you really the one in control of your own existence? History is full of turning points. We have seen the fall of empires and the rise of technologies that changed the course of human development, but we have never faced a technology that targets the biological wiring of the human brain to dictate its behavior on a massive scale. We are currently in the middle of a grand experiment. The architects have the data, they have the models, and they have the reach. The question isn't whether they have the power to control you. The question is whether you will allow them to keep it. This industry relies on your convenience. It relies on the fact that you find it easier to scroll than to think, easier to consume than to create, and easier to obey than to dissent. They make it seamless. They make it fun. They make it look like a choice. But if you look closely at the architecture, you will see the walls closing in. You can start by auditing your own inputs. Who benefits when you get angry at that headline? Who gains when you buy that product? What part of your behavior is genuinely yours, and what part was suggested to you by a predictive model designed to maximize someone else's quarterly revenue? Once you see the machine, you can no longer unsee it. You will see it in the layout of the supermarket. You will see it in the design of the apps on your phone. You will see it in the way your friends repeat the same curated talking points they saw on their feed. The secret industry doesn't want you to know how it works. It wants you to think you are a free individual living in a free world. It wants you to keep believing in your own autonomy while it pulls the strings of your preferences, your fears, and your desires. The most radical act you can perform in the 21st century is to regain control of your own attention. It requires you to step off the track. It requires you to be willing to be bored, to be disconnected, and to be unpredictable. Because in the world of behavioral engineering, the only thing the system cannot process is the person who refuses to behave. If you follow the path they've laid out for you, you will end up exactly where they planned. You will be predictable, you will be manageable, you will be a perfect customer. But if you look at the patterns, if you question the nudges, and if you reclaim the space between the stimulus and your response, you might just find that there is a version of your life that was never meant to be sold. The ghost in your pocket is waiting for you to click. The industry is waiting for your next move. What will you do when you realize the only choice that matters is the one you make when you aren't being watched?